Welcome back. As you can see, I've divided all of the dough into 2-ounce portions and I'm just rolling them out into equal balls. I've got 20 pieces here and one of them is just a little smaller, but the rest are equally at 2 ounces. And what I'm going to do is flatten with my palms like this. You can use a rolling pin if you like to get it thinner. The thinner that it is, the crispier it will be. If you like a soft bread, then you want to keep it about 6 inches. If you want it to be more like a cracker, you want it to be about 8 inches. Try to get it as round as possible, but because this is a homemade bread and because this is the bread of affliction, unleavened bread, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, then you simply lift it up and you're going to put it on a lightly oiled cookie sheet. And I'll do that again. Take your 2-ounce portion, roll it into a ball, and with your palm, flatten it out. With your fingers, stretch it out. You can have it as large. Now, if you have it about this size, it's going to be very thick and bready, which is great. It's still unleavened bread. But if you want it to be larger, then you're going to make it to be about 6 inches. And if you want it to be crispy, you'll make it to be about 8 inches. And you can just experiment and see which kind your family likes. The taste is really delicious, and you just find the texture that your family likes. And again, we're going to put this on the sheet. And because I've oiled this surface, it comes up very easily and nothing sticks. And I'm going to put it right over here on the baking sheet. Okay, I'm going to continue with all of these and get these into the oven, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Hi, I'm back early again. As I was doing this, I thought you all might like to see how to do it from beginning to end. So I'm going to take this piece, roll it, and then I'm going to flatten it. And it just works better to roll it once I flatten it out a little bit with my palm and with my finger. And then if you want it to be wider and thinner, you start in the middle and you go towards the end. Start in the middle and then turn it around. Again, start in the middle, go towards the edges. And this way you can get it to be however big you want. You want to try to get all the edges even so that it cooks evenly. This is about 6 inches. You can make bigger ones if you like. Let's measure this one. Okay, it's about 6.5 inches. And so that's pretty good. So I just want to let this go a little rounder. So I just wanted to show you how to do it from beginning to end, and I'll finish up and be back in just a few moments. Hi, welcome back. Well, I've got all the homemade matzah rolled out, and depending on how big you make yours and how big your baking sheet is, you might be able to get 2, 3, or 4 on your baking sheet. Now it's important to note that these will bubble up unless you pierce them. So with just a little tongs, we pierce them, each one of them, before we put them in the oven. And one more thing, even though there is no leavening in this, just flour and water alone can cause fermentation. And fermentation is what we're trying to avoid. So if you start this beginning with the hot water and add all of your ingredients and get it into the oven within 18 minutes, no fermentation will occur and these will be truly unleavened bread. Okay, so I'm going to put these into a preheated 450 degree oven, and I'm going to bake them 8 minutes or until they're lightly golden. Then I'm going to flip them over and bake 1 to 2 minutes on the other side. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you what they're like. See you in a few minutes. And welcome back. We have baked off our matzah, and I want to show you what I do. I have a mixture of cracker thin matzah, and this is really great for recipes that call for matzah meal, and you don't have to buy the matzah meal in the store. You can have your wonderful homemade whole grain delicious matzah, and you can take this and put this in the food processor and make matzah meal out of it. So this is great to do. So in your baking, try to do some that are crackery if you want to use matzah meal. So we have some here, and as you notice, some browned a little bit more than others, and that was because they're very thin. So I have found that it depends on your oven, and it depends on how thin you make them, what your time is. My recipe originally called for 8 minutes, but I've been checking them after 4 minutes, and the ones on the bottom are done. So then I flip them over. So depending on your oven and your baking sheet and how thin you have your matzah, check them after 4 minutes and see if they need to be flipped over. Now this one is a soft one. It's a pliable one. And this would be great for making sandwiches. This would be great for making matzah pizza. This is what my son's going to do. As soon as we finish this video, he's going to make matzah pizza. Now, there's one last thing to tell you, and I forgot. Okay, I did remember what I was going to tell you. Yes, it happens to everyone, I understand. It happens a lot more to me. But you probably might say, well, listen, I make tortillas at home. These are very much like tortillas. Couldn't I just make these like tortillas? Yes, you could. If you leave out the leavening, then you would have unleavened bread, which is a flatbread. A lot of tortilla recipes call for baking powder, and I don't use them in mine, but to have unleavened bread, you could follow the same recipe that you normally use for tortillas and follow the same procedure. I don't use non-stick, so I don't use the tortilla makers. You could make these on a griddle just as easily as baking it in the oven. For me, this is easier, and this one that just came out of the oven has some brown spots on it, but it still has some pliable spots, and it's going to be great for pizza. So I'm going to put the recipe okay, this might have to be a blooper reel, because the one that I just grabbed, that I said, hey, this just came out of the oven, well, it just landed on the floor, so it's going to be for the dog. Hey, that's a good one. Yes, it just landed on the floor. So our dog gets to have matzah too. But I just want to show you, it's really yummy. Now this part is crackly, and this part is pliable. And as they cool, they'll get a little more stiff. So again, depending on how much you want to roll them out to be thick or thin is the texture of your matzah. These are wonderful for taking camping. These are great to use from food storage. I'll put the recipe with all the variations underneath this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me in my Real Food Kitchen. This is Vicki Lynn with Get Real, Get Prepared and Real Food Living. And please subscribe to this channel. It's Real Food Living and the #1. Thank you, and God bless you. Bye-bye.